Welcome again. I'm Mr. Burton, ibbusinessandmanagement.com, running you through the IB Business and Management course. We are into the second part of our growth and evolution topic. That's topic 7 within the first topic, business organisation environment. Part 2, and today we are looking at types of growth, how we can grow. And the first thing we're going to look at is internal growth. Today we're going to look at internal growth and external growth. I'm going to just briefly introduce you to these two concepts now before we start. Internal growth. Now, business growth can be achieved in a number of ways, and these forms of growth can lead to differing aspects on stakeholder groups such as customers, workers, and competitors. The different forms of growth can be internal or external. So, internal growth, the expansion of the business by means of opening new branches, shops or factories, and this is also known as organic growth. An example of internal growth would be a retailing business opening more shops in towns and cities, whereas it previously had none. Whereas external growth, business's expansion is achieved by means of merging with or taking over other businesses from either the same or different industries. Let's look at these a bit closer in turn. Internal or organic growth. A business is using their own resources to increase the scale of its operations and increase its sales revenue. It's usually financed through profit, although businesses can borrow a limited amount to fund internal growth as well. Right. Different ways of achieving internal growth. Price. Businesses can change the price. More customers tend to buy a product if price is lowered. Advertising and promotion. Effective advertising, effective promotion will bring in more customers, increase sales revenue, and grow the firm. Increasing the number of products, the range of products. Making existing products better, product improvement, opening up more places where our products can be sold, perhaps focusing on an e-commerce strategy, but maybe opening up new branches, new distribution centres, finding other retailers that will stock our product. Offering credit might be a way to expand our sales, and increase capital expenditure, investing in our production process, which might be able to in turn produce more goods, and training and development of our staff, making them more efficient, more productive, better skilled. All of these factors can lead to internal growth. Now, the benefits of internal growth, because it tends to be a smaller, slower way of growing your organisation, there tends to be better control and coordination of the growth. It tends to be relatively inexpensive and maintains the existing corporate culture. But the limitations, because it's smaller, this growth tends to economies of scales are not easily achieved. So diseconomies of scales could be a possible disadvantage. Over trading, a need to restructure the business, and as we grow, there could be dilution of control and ownership. As we grow, maybe we have to bring in more specialist managers. And these managers take control of different functional areas of the business. Whereas external growth, this is growth dealing with outside agencies. Done through forming alliances, merging with other companies, etc. We'll look at these in turn. Now, external growth tends to be fast. By taking over a company, we can eliminate opposition. We can achieve a greater market share, basically because when we're taking over or forming a merger or an alliance with another firm, we are grabbing their customers as well. And external growth can lead to the acquisition of new skills, experiences, and new customers as well. External growth can lead to risks being more spread across different markets, and not just different markets, but different products as well. Now, the first one that we're going to look at is joint ventures. Now, joint ventures are defined as when two or more firms decide to split the costs, risks, control, and reward for a business project. And a classic example is Sony Ericsson, quite a well-established brand name here. It's a joint venture by the Japanese consumer electronics company Sony Corporation and the Swedish telecommunications company Ericsson to make mobile phones. Now, Sony and Ericsson do different things between them. Sony is very good at electronics, and Ericsson very good at technology within the communication sector. The two firms got together, formed this joint venture, and both companies actually stopped making their own mobile phones because this joint venture was so successful. Now, Sony still exists in its own right as its own company. Ericsson still exists as its own separate entity, but they have come together and formed a joint venture for the sole purpose of making mobile phones. Another example, Virgin Mobile India Limited, a cellular telephone service provider company which is a joint venture between the Tata Teleservice Group and Richard Branson's Service Group. They're using Tata's network and the brand name of Virgin Mobile. And this one's run into problems in recent time. It hasn't been the most successful joint venture in the world. But then again, doing business in India is never an easy thing. Right, joint ventures. The advantages. The advantages are that they spread the costs and the risks. They allow entry into foreign markets. They're relatively cheap. The two companies exist already, and they're just cooperating to perhaps produce a new product, provide a new service. A definite competitive advantages. The two or more companies are not competing against each other in this market. They're developing a new market. So definite competitive advantages there. If one of the joint venture partners is a locally based company, they'll have very good local knowledge of the market, and both companies will be able to exploit that together. And they tend to have a very high rate of success as well, and produce synergies. Synergies, the pooling of experiences, talents and resources of the firms in collaboration should create synergy. A joint venture between a bank and a supermarket, this is quite common in the UK, means that both parties can specialise in their area of expertise and gain access to new technologies and customers in order to achieve larger profits for the organisation. There are drawbacks. It rely heavily on the resources and goodwill of each counterpart. There's a dilution of the brands, as we saw there with the Tata Group and Virgin Mobile. And there can be organisational culture clashes if the organisational cultures are very different. Somehow they're going to have to mesh together to form a functioning working relationship. The strategic alliance is a joint venture where the affiliated business remain independent organisations. So instead of coming together to form a new subsidiary or a new company, a strategic alliance, there's no new company formed. Both partners remain independent. Mergers and acquisitions. Acquisitions, also known as takeovers. A merger is where two firms actually agree to form a new company. So two companies become one. And an acquisition or a takeover is where one company buys a controlling interest in another company.
Dodge this.
So a good example, Google buying YouTube, Google acquiring or taking over YouTube for the small price of $1.65 billion. Now we have to differentiate between vertical integration and horizontal integration. Vertical integration, businesses are at different stages of the production process. So a primary, an organisation operating in the primary sector or the secondary sector or the tertiary sector will merge or acquire another one at a different stage of the production process. So for example, a French fries, or a chip maker may acquire a potato farm. This would be vertical integration. The chip factory, the chip producer may take over, merge, or acquire a restaurant which sells chips. Vertical integration. So businesses are at different stages of the production process. Horizontal integration, businesses operating in the same industries. Newspapers are a classic example. Rupert Murdoch, that media mogul, takes over papers left, right and centre. He's recently acquired the Wall Street Journal. Horizontal integration, because the newspapers are operating in the same industries. Lateral integration, firms have similar operations but don't compete with each other. Similar operations but don't compete with each other. So we've got these car manufacturers here. We've got Tata Group in India. Now they acquired Jaguar and Land Rover as well. Tata, they make small, cheap, inexpensive cars at this stage solely designed for the Indian market. So Jaguar and Land Rover, of course they produce cars, similar operations, but definitely don't compete with each other. The market for the Tata Nano is very different from the market for Land Rover. And the last one, conglomerate mergers and acquisitions. This is an amalgamation of two businesses that have completely distinct markets. Now Warren Buffett, the sage of Omaha, he buys companies all the time, takes over companies all the time, acquires companies all the time. And they are typically in different industries. M&A, mergers and acquisitions. What are the advantages? You immediately establish a greater market share. You are becoming larger and hopefully you're reaping the benefits of economies of scale. If you're not going to reap the benefits of economies of scale, you'd want to have a look at your merger or acquisition target very, very closely indeed, and perhaps reconsider it. Synergies are hopefully created, and perhaps you get some diversification, so you get spreading of the risks involved in businesses. Disadvantages: loss of control, culture clash, conflict, redundancies, diseconomies of scale, regulatory problems. Typically, mergers, acquisitions, very, very difficult to make work. Very difficult to make work, add value to the shareholders or the company. Franchising. Now, this is a form of business ownership whereby a personal business buys a license to trade using another firm's logos, brands and trademarks. And we can all immediately think of different franchises out there, typically to do with fast food, but not solely to do with fast food. Supermarkets would be a classic example of a franchise. But McDonald's, Subway, all of these are the examples of franchises that immediately spring to mind. Now, the franchisee will pay the franchisor a license fee to the parent company and royalty payments as well. So a percentage of the profits will go to the parent company. Let's have a look at franchises and growth. The benefits of franchising is the method for growth for the franchisor. Now, the franchisor is the person that, well, the company that provides the license. The parent company can experience rapid growth without having to risk huge amounts of capital. The franchisee is paying for the outlets themselves. If somebody wants to open up a McDonald's restaurant, it is the franchisee who will pay for the location, pay for the building, pay for the fitting out of that premises. It allows a national or international presence without the high costs of organic growth or mergers and acquisitions. The franchisee is in fact helping with the expansion. Can benefit from economies of scale, especially with marketing and purchasing. Able to market the brand, the logo, run the promotional campaigns across a wide geographical market, perhaps across different countries even. And the more franchises involved in the franchise, the more raw materials are going to need to be purchased, and there we get our purchasing economies of scale coming in. Now, another benefit is that you can grow without having an increase in running costs. So there's no increase in wages or no increase in purchasing stocks and equipment, staff recruitment, etc. You can grow without having this increase in running costs. Why? Because the franchisee is sharing these costs with you. And royalty and licensing fees received grow as the franchise grows. Franchisees will have more incentives to do well than salaried managers of a business. This is likely to increase the degree of success for the franchisor. The franchisee has a lot of money, a lot of personal investment in making sure that their own business does well. And if their business is doing well, then the franchisor is going to be doing well as well. Local franchises are going to have greater awareness of local market conditions and greater cultural awareness. So you'd hope that someone setting up a McDonald's in India would have a really good idea of the Indian market and not sell beef hamburgers over there, for example. Let's have a look at, we're still looking at franchisors and growth. Now there are problems as well. Problems of franchising as a method of growth for the franchisor. The first being, it can be difficult to control the activities of the franchisees and get them to meet the quality standards set by the business. Because the franchisees are independent operators, they own their own business, there is less control in getting them to run their business the way that you want them to run their business. Take a large risk when allowing other people and businesses to use their names. Your one bad food scandal in the fast food industry can ruin a brand for a long, long time. It's a faster method than organic growth. It's not as quick as mergers and acquisitions. Now let's have a look at franchisees and growth. Franchisees are the people that own and operate the individual branches, individual franchises of the parent company. Now the benefits of franchising as a method of growth with the franchisee: relatively low risk. The franchisor has a tried and tested business with appropriate systems in place, so they know all about the marketing, they know all about the distribution. Lower startup costs. Market research and product development should mostly have been done already. And it's in the best interests of the franchisor that the franchisee succeeds. So added services, for example accounting and legal support, will be provided. So the franchisor in a good franchise system is not going to leave the franchisee out there to sink or swim. There will be support, there will be advice, there will be guidance, there will be training involved. It's going to benefit from large-scale advertising used by the parent company. In quotes there, free advertising. It's not free because remember the franchisee has to pay royalty payments and licensing fees to the parent company. But because they don't have to engage in advertising themselves, it's going to help them reduce their average costs. Disadvantages or problems of franchising as a method of growth for the franchisee. We can be talking about a lot of capital to set up a franchise. It can be very expensive. For example, McDonald's in 2010 would ping the franchise for between just under $1 million to up to $1.8 million to set up a franchise, depending on the location. It's not small money at all. Okay, a high level topic here, Porter's generic strategies, and we're looking at competitive pressures, competitive advantage. So it's looking at a way that any business, so therefore the term generic comes through. Generic means all businesses can gain this competitive advantage, and if a business can gain a competitive advantage, they can grow. They'll be growing at the expense of their competitors, sucking up that market share. Now, every successful business out there must have a competitive advantage to prevent a decrease in profit as competitors enter the market. How are you making your product different? What are you doing differently to your competitors? How to sustain a competitive advantage? Porter said that there were 3 different strategies that businesses could use. There's a cost leadership strategy. Now, cost leadership often stems from internal strengths, so high levels of investment in advanced production methods, which require access to a lot of capital. Efficient production methods, so for example low stock levels and low numbers of components used to shorten the production process. Another one could be efficient distribution channels. For example, Ryanair, that dodgy, cheap Irish outfit, only uses the internet for selling tickets and communicating with customers. Now, cost leadership is all built around being the lowest cost producer in the industry for a certain level of product quality that will allow the firm to make higher profits than rivals. Or if they're not doing that, if it lowers its prices below the average of competitors to increase market share. Ryanair is one of Europe's largest and most profitable airlines, and it's also the lowest average cost airline. Businesses adopting this strategy either sell products at average industry prices to earn higher profit than rivals or below industry average prices to gain market share. That's so important, I'll repeat it. Businesses adopting the strategy either sell products at average industry prices to earn higher profit than their rivals or below industry average prices to gain market share. The cost leadership strategy usually targets a broad rather than a niche market. There's a differentiation strategy. Now, this strategy involves developing a product or service that offers unique features valued by customers. The value added to the product or service by these features may allow the firm to charge a premium price for it. For example, Apple's constant research into innovative products allows it to charge high prices for quite differentiated products. Now, the differentiation strategy often results from the following internal strengths. I'll give you three. The first being excellent research and development facilities and a track record in developing unique products. Secondly, corporate reputation for innovation and quality. And thirdly, strong sales team able to promote the perceived strength of the brand and the products. That leaves the final of the generic strategies, focus. Now, focus strategy, this concentrates on a narrow market segment aiming to achieve a cost advantage or differentiation. So this can lead to a high degree of customer loyalty within the market segment. For example, Princess Boats has a loyal consumer following for its uniquely designed luxury motorboats, some models costing millions of dollars. Discount retailers, on the other hand, focus on low-income market segments through a strategy of low cost leading to low prices. As a focus strategy can lead to imitation by rivals, continued success is going to depend on continuing to tailor a broad range of products to a relatively narrow market segment that the business knows very well. Now, Porter says it's not possible in the long term to adopt a mixture of these strategies. You can only focus on one and be successful. And we come to the Ansoff Matrix, and this is another higher level topic. Ansoff Matrix being an analytical tool that helps managers devise their different product and different market strategies. It really is a model that's used to show the degree of risk associated with the four growth strategies of market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification. So 4 different growth strategies: market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification. Ansoff was the man who popularized the idea that long-term business success was dependent upon establishing business strategies and planning for their introduction. The Ansoff Matrix represents different options open to the marketing manager when considering new opportunities for sales growth. He considered that the two main variables in the strategic marketing decisions were the market in which the firm was going to operate and the products intended for sale. And in terms of the market, managers have two options: to remain in the existing market or to enter new ones. Looking at the product, two options are selling existing products and developing new ones. Now, when put in the matrix, these options can be presented as we see here. Existing products, existing markets, we are looking at a strategy of market penetration. New products, existing markets, product development. Existing products, new markets, market development. And new markets, new products, we call that diversification.
Show me.
So markets and products. Sorry, we'll go back there. Market penetration. The objective of achieving higher market shares in existing markets with existing products. For example, here in 2009, Aer Lingus reduced some of the fares on its European air routes, some even to as little as $15. The directors of the company were attempting to aggressively increase market share by taking passengers away from other low-cost airlines. Now, this is the least risky of all four possible strategies in that there are fewer unknowns. The market and product parameters remain the same. However, it's not risk-free, as if low prices are the method used to penetrate the market, it could lead to a potentially damaging price war that reduces the profit margins of all firms in the industry. Product development, we're looking here at existing markets and new products. Product development is a strategy of development and sale of new products or new developments of existing products in the existing market. The example is the launch of Diet Pepsi took an existing product, developed it in a slightly different version and sold it in a soft drink market where Pepsi was already available. Product development often involves innovation, as with 4G mobile phones, and these brand new products can offer a distinctive identity to the business. Market development, the strategy of selling existing products in new markets. Now, this could include exporting goods to overseas markets or selling to a new market segment. Lucozade used to be promoted as a health tonic for people with colds and flus. It was successfully repositioned in the sports drink market, appealing to a new, younger range of consumers. Dell or HP can use existing business computer systems and repackage them for sale to consumer markets. And finally, diversification, the process of selling different unrelated goods or services in new markets. Now, the Virgin Group is constantly seeking new areas for growth. Its expansion from a media empire into an airline and then a train operator, then into finance is a classic example of diversification. Tata Industries in India is another good example of a very diversified business making a huge range of products, from steel to cars to tea bags. As the diversification strategy involves new challenges in both markets and products, it's the most risky of the four strategies. It may also be a strategy that's outside the core competencies of the firm. However, diversification may be a possible option if the high risk is balanced out by the chance of high profit. Other advantages of diversification include the potential to gain a foothold in an expanding industry and the reduction of overall business portfolio risk.